Again, I have it set to continue in moments. Here we go. Agony. Stefan leaves soon after the trial, alone. Grandfather does not go with him. For the first time in a long while, he lingers in the house for more than a fortnight. Father says Sir Gregor is ill and needs rest. Several months go by, and it becomes clear that Grandfather will not recover. The eldest Brante is mostly bedridden now. On some days he has trouble recognizing people. When he means to address you or Nathan, he calls you Robert, your father's name. But when he does get out of bed, the house grows empty. The servants hide, Mother locks herself in her chambers. You and Nathan run outside or hide quietly in your quarters, well, in your rooms, whatever. If Grandfather sees anyone in the hallway, he begins lamenting. Oh, nobody heeds the lots any longer. Any harlot with a child can marry a nobleman these days. Children have no respect. His son betrayed him and let him down. And oh, how the Brante family has lost its honor. Again and again, you hear Grandfather knocking at Mother's door, screaming that it is all her fault. He blames her for ruining his chances to find bliss in the hereafter. He blames her for dooming him to suffer at the foot of the pillar. You overhear your parents talking one night. Mother begs Father to move Sir Gregor to his old home and spare the children's decline. Father refuses her outright. It is late at night. The hot, dry winds are coming. The house is empty save for you, Nathan, Gloria, Mother, and Grandfather in his bed. Father has left for the capital on business. You're engrossed in the history of the Empire, snapping out of your reverie only when the clock strikes midnight. You blow out the candle and get ready for bed. You hear the shuffling of heavy feet outside your door. You see light in the hallway. Grandfather, what could you want in the middle of the night? You peek into the hallway once he's passed. Grandfather's figure sways as he heads for the door to Mother's chambers. He opens the door and walks in. You hear him saying something quietly. Your unease is stronger than your fear now. You sneak closer to hear his words. You foul commoner. I have to cleanse my sins. I have to save my soul. You are my greatest sin. You and what you have done to Robert and this family. I should have put a stop to this marriage. I should have stopped Robert from tainting this house by your presence. Why, oh why didn't I do it?
Please, Sir Brante, I beg of you.
Silence. You will do my bidding. Fire will cleanse all low-born filth from this place. Fire and flame will free Robert from this disgrace. This is for my son's sake, for my son's sake, for my sake. I need to eradicate this low-born filth. The twins, they are calling for me now. I can feel it. I can feel it.
I beg of you, please have mercy.
Mother begins to cry. You run into the room, unable to stay out of this any longer. Grandfather's gaunt figure looms over Mother's bed, a lit oil lamp in his hand. Mother is sprawled out on the bed, crying.
Please just let me warn the children. I beg of you, Sir Brante.
Your steps are loud enough to be heard. Grandfather turns to look at you. Stay out of this, Leon. Be useful for once. Worldly matters concern me no longer. I see only my sins now, and a sinner I am. A sinner. The twins, they forgive no one. They will judge me by the pillar. I must do something. I don't want to suffer for all eternity. Go away. Mother's crying. Grandfather is still looming over the bed. Driven to madness, his hand shakes as it clutches the oil lamp. His eyes shine in the dark. He truly believes this has to be done. You're suddenly torn. What if he is right? What if that is the only way for his soul to find salvation? There's no going back now. You have but a moment to act. Yep. Can't stop him. Gotta go rescue. You turn around and run for your brother and sister. Grandfather's prayer, and mother's sobbing drive you to run faster. You wake up Nathan and Gloria and lead them out of the house, out of their rooms and the house without any explanation. You hear mother's shrill cry of despair from the porch. A second floor window shatters, a body in a nightgown drops to the ground. Then another cry of despair, an old man's cry. Cover your brother's eyes to hide the sight from him. The second floor of the estate has caught fire. Gloria runs for the neighbors. You take Nathan's hand and go to Thomas's house. Neighbors and servants flock to the house to put out the fire. Together you manage to extinguish the flames before the first floor is engulfed. The second floor, however, has been reduced to ash. You watch Mother's body turn to dust and fly away with the sparks. Nathan is crying. Gloria hugs him and says that everything is fine. Mother will be reborn. Will return soon, reborn. Thomas's family gives you refuge for the night. His charred body is taken to the family crypt in the morning. Gregor Brante has died his true death. You go there to look at him. His face is covered by the cloth hiding its expression. Did Gregor Brante finally find I can't talk. I was doing good. Did Gregor Bronte finally find solace at the pillar amongst the flames, in his final living moments? Or did he die as he lived, an embittered soul driven mad because he could never truly live by his lot? Either way, life has changed. His burden no longer weighs heavy upon your family. For a moment, you're overcome with rage. Hot tears start rolling down your cheeks. This is it. You'll never be able to prove anything to him now. All your future triumphs, all your words of defiance, Grandfather will never hear them. He will never see you grow up. You hear a heavy door clang in the corner of the crypt. Out comes Mother, wrapped in a black cape. She's reborn. She looks around in surprise as she leaves the cold stone walls behind, and finally notices you.
My son, Nathan, Gloria, what happened to them?
You briskly wipe your face and comfort her. No one else died that night. It's hard to speak, like something is clutching at your throat. When Mother sees Grandfather's charred remains, she closes her eyes with a deep sigh, and shakes so violently she falls to her knees. Then she starts whispering something. You recognize it. It is a prayer of gratitude to the twins. She is done. She briskly wipes her face like you did. She looks younger now. Her eyes sparkle. She smiles so brightly and so sincerely. You've not seen her like this for a long, long time. Mother comes closer and pats you on the head fondly and gently. You rescued your brother and sister, saved them from a lesser death. Thank you, my son. Please remember this. None of this is your fault. This is my final life, and I promise to live it in joy. You hear the snorting of horses outside. Father is back from Eterna. Gregor Bronte, true death. Your grandfather, Sir Gregor Bronte, left this world forever to meet the twin gods. Left this world forever to meet the twin gods. I kind of paused at the wrong moment. Oh well. Last respects. The night of Grandfather's death shook your family to the core. Yet no matter how it happened, your grandfather, Gregor Bronte, is dead and will never return. He was a fearful shadow looming over the rest of the family. The Bronte patriarch, exerting his influence on all the lives below him, and all of you will remember him forever. Father is the new patriarch of the family now, yet he cannot bring himself to sit at the head of the table where Sir Gregor used to preside. Stefan locks himself away in Grandfather's bedroom every day. He will not talk to anyone. Gloria and Nathan still jump at every sound that so much as resembles the knocking of his walking stick. Mother spends all day in prayer at the temple. And yet the house has become calm and quiet with his passing. But there is one more thing that must be done. The final farewell. It weighs heavily upon your soul. The day comes to pay your final respects. Father goes to the tomb alone, save for Stefan, Nathan, and you. Mother and Gloria stay at home. Only nobles or those who may become nobles may join this ritual. There's a solemn silence as you walk to the crypt. Father's the one who breaks this silence when you finally reach the door of the family crypt. Your grandfather built this crypt, and now he will be the first Bronte to remain here embodied forever. The first ever noble in our family. It is our duty now, hold to the sacrament of flowing blood for Sir Gregor. We will honor his legacy and join him as the founder of the noble Brante dynasty. Stefan perks up at Father's words. His hands still clutch Grandfather's sword. Tradition decrees that it must remain in the niche above the owner's sarcophagus. Nathan, on the other hand, looks even more frightened now. Stairs carved of white stone lead you downward. Deep in the gloom of the crypt, atop a pedestal, you see the sarcophagus that holds Grandfather's body. Father takes a moment to compose himself before paying his final respects. Gregor Brante, my father, brought our family into nobility through his unshakable will. He was a judge and a loyal servant to the Empire. He lived his life as if he had been born a noble, and he never strayed from the path he had chosen. He sought to make the Brante family a noble by the sword, so that our children's children might be of noble birth. The twins know I abided by my father's words all my life, even if I could not obey him every time. Father lets out a bitter chuckle as he says this. Stefan glares at Father, then turns to glare at Nathan and you. After all, the two of you were born of Father's shameful decision to marry a commoner. All of you remember his disastrous passing. He did not die the true death he deserved. Yet we all must know that he fought for the future he believed in to the very end. And he would be proud to see his family bid him farewell with this sacrament of the nobility. Stefan still glares at Father sullenly. His fingers remain clutched around Grandfather's sword. Nathan barely pays attention to the words. He looks around with unease, his arms folded across his chest. Father reaches into his jacket and pulls out a slender dagger, thin and sharp. He takes off his gloves. Watch me carefully, my sons. Make a small cut on the palm of your hand and let your blood flow into this duct on the wall of the crypt. It will join your grandfather's blood here and flow forever. Then ancestor and progeny will become as one. We shall enter our family's blood tide and receive grandfather's final blessing. For his blood flows first in our blood tide. He will respond to you. You are part of him, and he is part of you. With a quick motion, Father slices his hand and holds the bleeding cut above a small opening in the wall. Then he hands the dagger to Stefan. Stefan cuts his hand without hesitation, and does as Father did. You receive the dagger next. The dagger's handle feels warm. You hesitate for a moment as you look at the palm of your hand. If you participate in this ritual, you'll enter the Brante blood tide. You, a low-born child, a child who is still a commoner. Are you ready to claim your legacy as a descendant of the nobleman Gregor Brante? The eyes of your father and brothers are upon you. Nathan, the youngest brother, will follow your example. You can be certain of this. Well, can't do that. Well, can't do that. Gotta give it back. You turn the dagger to Father and say you cannot participate in the ritual. You are a commoner and your back bears the mark of the lash. Grandfather would never have let you honor his name as a nobleman. Nathan nods in agreement. You do not deserve this honor. Father furrows his brow and shakes his head. Stefan, help me close the lid of the sarcophagus and remember to ask for Grandfather for his blessing. And as for you two, it seems you weren't ready to walk the noble's path after all. You're right, son. Your grandfather would never have allowed it. The lid of the sarcophagus falls into place with a heavy, resonant thud. Then suddenly you all freeze as each of you hears your late grandfather speak to you. His voice is loud as it rings in the depths of the crypt, and yet he speaks to each of you separately. Foul-blood weakling! I knew you never had it in you to rise above your meager birth, Leon. You have not a drop of nobility in you, and your pathetic little brother is the same. You are tainted upon my flesh and blood. Begone from my crypt. Your legs carry out of the crypt of their own accord. Out of that stuffy crypt. You can finally breathe again. You hear slow footsteps behind you. Turn around and meet Nathan's gaze.
You did the right thing. If it weren't for you, I'd have done what Father told us. Grandfather said I should stay away from his legacy, so it'll do me no good if I try to follow in his footsteps. How's that for words of guidance, eh?
Nathan sighs as he embraces you. Father and Stefan leave the crypt much later and walk to the carriage without a word. You and Nathan humbly follow behind them.
I had no choice. Adult question. Conditions met. Spirituality. And what is this so-called adult question? The day is sunny, scorching, and hot. You're sitting in the yard in the shade of a tree, studying books about the twins' great descent. You're shy of the quiet steps. There is no need to look back. You know from sound that it is Nathan, your younger brother, also sits in the shade of the tree. Yet he is quiet. He's not tugging at your clothes this time. That is unusual. He's just sitting by your side, breathing loudly. You tear yourself away from the book and look at your brother. Nathan is deep in thought. He seems uneasy. He's fidgeting with a symbol of the twins, a cross inside a circle, a lash bound around the sword. It is Nathan's pendant. He wears it all the time, but not today. The silence wears on. Nathan takes a deep breath like he is about to speak, but he does not. His face grows even grimmer. He looks unusually hurt and bitter. At last, Nathan gathers his courage. He takes another deep breath. His eyes narrow. His hand clutches the encircled cross. Tell me, Leon, the twins, they hate me, don't they? Nathan's voice is quiet, yet firm. The world falls silent around you. Not even a gust of wind can be heard. It is as if everything is waiting for your answer. You look at your brother again, confused. Nathan, the youngest brother, the most unassuming child. He is quiet, obedient, and thoughtful. He has been your responsibility almost since his birth, yet he has never been a burden. Father was always aloof around him, and Mother was too tired to even smile. Even Grandfather seemed to avoid Nathan with his scorn. He just treated your little brother like a piece of trash. He never even called him by name, and always winced at the sight of him, perhaps because he looked so much like Mother. But is it true that the twin gods have no love for your little brother? Surely the twins have enough, even for little Nathan, do they not? Nathan was born a commoner, like you. His lot is suffering. Everyone is tested by the twins before their true death. No one can expect mercy along their path. He was born the youngest child in your family. That is his trial. Should Nathan persevere and bear the burden he was dealt, he shall yet reach the peak of the pillar when his time runs out. There is hope in Nathan's eyes as he looks at you. Guiding others in the matters of faith is the clergy's lot. You are no priest, yet you cannot stay quiet. You see his pain, you see his trepidation, so you will tell him what you think. What you're about to say may be a turning point in his life. Of course I'm going to be nice to him. You tell your brother that the twins are more than just law and will. They are also love. So writes Isadius, the disciple of the elder, and so says Mother. And both you and him were brought into this world through their providence. It is true that their love is quite unlike the love humans have for one another. They cannot forgive others unconditionally, like Mother or Father would. Your parents love you no matter what, but they are unlike them. And yet the twins bear no hatred, for they descended to our world and granted us knowledge of how to live. And this is a great treasure indeed. The twins put us all to the test with the hardships they send. They watch how we follow our lots, and if Nathan suffers and feels no love from them, then that means they believe in him and know he will endure this suffering. They know he will humbly accept it and let it pass through him. Let it purify him. This is the manifestation of their love. Nathan hangs on your every word. The despair fades from his face. He is smiling. He puts the chain with the encircled cross back around his neck. Again, and that's not where I should have stopped. He puts the chain with the encircled cross back around his neck again and hugs you gratefully. So they do love me. Thank you. You've helped me hold on to my faith. You hug Nathan back and hear him sniffle on your shoulder. I keep stopping at the wrong spots, and I don't know why. He will remember this little talk for years to come. Just kind of zoning out a little, I think. Oh.
I started late, but I might end early. My focus is just not there today. Grandfather's pass. The fugitive girl. Grandfather's passing and last respects have left a mark on the entire family. His words relayed from the hereafter keep echoing in your mind. You still do your best to avoid the memory of grandfather's last night and spend more time on the city streets with Thomas and your other classmates. The road by the house reminds you of another clash with death. Sometimes as you walk along that road, you recall Sophia, the beautiful girl with wonderful eyes and terrifying, thundering hooves. You've not seen Sophia since that fateful day. The children who lived nearby say her parents sent her to a rich Arcanian family, the Ottons, as a servant. The sun is set, the pillar shines palely in the dark sky. Thomas is ill, so you decide to visit him and tell him the latest news. The streets seem oddly agitated tonight, full of horses, cloaked men, strange faces, and hushed voices. A young nobleman in a heavy embroidered cloak is walking back and forth, clutching at his sword nervously. There's a grimace of rage on his delicate blue face. He is an Arcanian. You overhear voices. Sir Otton! The girl's not at home. We searched the house. Her parents swear she ran away from home, too. They claim they wanted to bring her back. Just do whatever it takes. Turn this loathsome district upside down if you must. But bring my servant back to me. She's here. Sophia ran away from Arcanian? How can this be? There's only one place on the entire street where a person could hide. The abandoned Moral House, 4 houses away from yours. Hid there, doing your best not to attract attention. The lopsided house built of yellow brick has been abandoned for 20 years or so. You remember playing there as a boy. You glimpse a figure inside even before you enter. A pair of eyes glimmer in the dark. You would recognize them even after another 4 years. Sophia has grown up. She is almost an adult now, and her face is full of fear. She's not the easygoing girl next door that you remember. She finally recognizes you. Oh, it's you, Leon. Be quiet. They're all looking for me. I ran away from the youngest Otton. I might be in for a less death here, but I'd rather die than spend another day in their slavery. I'm just a thing to them, just a toy to play with. Sophia winces and closes her mouth as she says this. There's a glint of bright yellow deep in her eyes. I ran to my parents. I told them all about the men I had to serve, and they went and alerted the Ottons. They don't want to be the target of their ire, but you aren't going to tip them off, are you? The barking and shouting are getting closer. Sophia's voice grows quiet. She runs off to the darkest corner of the house before you can answer. One of Otton's servants is so close you can hear his cloak swishing against the ground. He notices something and calls for the others. There are more voices around you now. They approach the house from the yard and surround it. One of them seems particularly snappy and annoyed and impatient. You have already heard this voice today. If you're in there, girl, you be wise to come out and quit wasting my time. All will be forgiven, and you will go back where you were. You know it, and if you don't, I'll drag you out by the hair. Ooh. I can't help her. Can't stop him. I could hide, but... The hilt of the young Arcanian sword bashes at the door. He's about to lose his patience for good. Sophia hugs the wall in the dark, trying to stay still. She glances at you. What will you do? Your heart is racing. Can you act against the Arcanian's orders? You have the gall to defy the mighty nobleman. Living by our consequences. This is the choice. You pull yourself together and walk slowly to the half-collapsed doorway. Sophia stays behind. The tall young Arcanian stares you down, his condescending smile dripping with scorn. Your hand races to point at Sophia's hiding place. Otton nods, satisfied, and he steps inside, his fingers on the hilt of his sword. You follow him in tow. A silhouette runs in front of you. Sophia? You hear a high-pitched scream of rage. The golden light blinds you. A flash so bright it rends you from the inside. There's another voice in your head now, booming, screaming. Halt! Freeze! Drop! That's not quite booming, but... You lose control of your body, your arms and legs. You collapse at the Archne's feet. Sophia uses this moment of confusion to run past the nobleman and out the door. Otten steps over you, cursing, and runs after her. You hear noises from the other side of the wall, running, screaming in order to give chase. You lie there, on a pile of old bricks, completely unable to move. Slowly, the stupor leaves you. Finally, your knees can bend again. You get to your feet, sway, and walk out of the abandoned house. The young Archnean is standing in the doorway, shaking his head in frustration. So she's a witch, is she? Well, I'll be. What a fascinating lass. I knew I chose her for a reason. Ah, there you are, youngster. So how did you like your first brush with magic? Tell me your name, and worry not, you have my thanks. You tremble as you introduce yourself to Dorius Alton. You will go far, young Brante. You know your loyalties. You walk back home, lost in thought. Sophia's a witch? You recall how it felt, how her magic bound you by the arms and legs, how it took away all control over your body, how it made you lose the will to move. But that spell, you could sense something personal in the way it struck you. Was it hatred? Yeah, it was. The runaway girl becomes the talk of your district for an entire week. You overhear that Sophia managed to flee the city. The Ottens are furious. After this sudden disappearance, she disappears from your life once more. You will not see her again until much, much later. You're about to turn 15, just one step away from adulthood. Mother is acting anxious at dinner today, barely touching her food. You exchange glances with Gloria as she carefully tells you that she wants to go to the tailor. Mother shudders and her hands clench into fists. No! Don't you dare leave home today! I forbid it! That dirty heretic Fotis is preaching his lies under the silver tree today. Twins willing, I don't want you to hear any of that. You and Gloria glance at each other again. Fotis, he's a patriarch, the head of the clergy throughout the entire province. That is the first time you've heard Mother speak like this about a priest, especially such a high-ranking one. Once you leave the dinner table, Gloria comes to your room with a cunning expression on her face, like she's about to play a trick on someone. She has a plan! The two of you should sneak out of the house and go to the Silver Tree. You simply must hear that sermon for yourself. What's so bad about Patriarch Fotis? Why does Mother hate him so much? The two are grown-ups now. Surely you have the right to know. Oh, you two are grown-ups now. You surely have the right to know. You agree with your sister. Together you sneak out from under your mother's watchful eye and hurry to the Silver Tree. The temple block is full of people from all ranks and estate. There's barely enough room for you to squeeze through the crowd. The crowd is gathered around the very roots of the tree. Gloria suggests that you climb up to the roof of a nearby building so you can hear and see everything better. And not a moment too soon. From the roof you see a tall, silver-haired priest step onto the platform by the tree, dressed in the common black robe that looks far beneath his rank. Yet he stands like a noble before the crowd. Behind his back is a banner flapping in the wind, the open book. This is the symbol of the new faith, the crowd whispers. The patriarch holds his hand up to the sky, and the entire temple block grows quiet. He begins his sermon, his vibrant voice rolling across the square. Fotis speaks of a great mistake. We entrusted ourselves to the lots as the only way to fulfill divine providence in this world. But for all these years, the will of the twins has been interpreted for us by a single man, Prophet Isadius. The twins are ever watching from atop the shining pillar. Of this we have no doubt, but how can we so blindly believe that we follow their will by following the lots? Have we not seen the 3 lots of Isadius fail again and again to answer the question of how we ought to live our lives? Have we not seen people change their lot in life again and again without being smitten by divine wrath? Every person born, whether human or Archnean, low-born or noble, must find their lot and find their way to the gods on their own. From now on, we will seek the gods in the accounts of their own lives, in their own acts in this world, and in their own words as they echo within us. And as we heed the voice of the twins within, we will each find their path for us on our own. The crowd at the Silver Tree listens to the patriarch's speech in stunned silence. Glance at your sister. Her eyes glisten with tears as she hears Photos' words. Then suddenly a hoarse cry rises from the crowd. If there are no lots, does that mean the nobles are going to till the fields and the commons are going to bear arms? The crowd begins to murmur. The patriarch raises an arm and inhales, ready to answer. An odd figure leaps from the crowd onto the platform, a dirty beggar dressed in rags. A knife flashes in his hand. The blade slices. Blood starts spurting from Photos' throat. He slumps over and collapses. A dark brown puddle spreads across the platform where he had stood. Gloria clutches her mouth to suppress a shriek. A few moments of stunned silence, and then the screams begin. The people are frantic. The temple guards try to restore order in the crowd, but to no avail. An old woman dressed in an inquisitor's cassock tries in vain to apply pressure to the patriarch's wound. The nobles draw their swords. Dogs are barking. The crowd is pushing and shoving. Children are crying. The entire square by the tree is in chaos. From the roof you see the moment when people start trampling each other, howling, praying, shouting. Gloria tugs on your sleeve. Time to go. Climb down from the roof and run. You return home without exchanging a word. Mother's been in her room all the while, so no one noticed your absence. Gloria locks herself in her room. You do not discuss the things you have just seen. They are too frightening. But your parents discuss every little detail of the blood-stained sermon over dinner. This is unbelievable. A patriarch murdered in plain sight. I used to know how to pronounce this. Genderdames? I don't know. It's been too long. Beginner dames. The guards. No, well, they're saying guards. Whatever. And the Archduke's guards have searched every corner of the slums, and murderous beggar has disappeared without a trace. I can't even imagine a more gruesome crime. Photos has died a true death, never to return from the hereafter.
But how? Why can't the patriarch be reborn? He's so close to the twins.
Such is the way of the world, my children. Once you are granted great power by the twins' will, there is no hope for you to come back, not even after the first of your deaths. Emperors, their powerful vassals, heads of great Arcane dynasties, patriarchs of the church, none of them are destined to be reborn.
Photos is gone forever. I fear for his soul. I was lost in doubt. Will the twins accept him upon the peak of the pillar? We must pray for the patriarch, children. Let us hope he managed to return to the true old faith, before the moment of his passing. But there is little hope for that. The last night. Tomorrow you turn 16. According to the Imperial law, you'll be a full adult. Your time at Sir Tiber's school is ended. You've studied enough to apply for the Imperial College and learn the judge's trade there. You're to travel to Eterna tomorrow. Your friend Thomas will go there with you to try his luck in the Imperial capital. Mother and father prepare you for the long journey. Remember, son, there is only one goal for you. You must become a student at the Imperial College. Your teachers dragged you through all those books for a reason. You have the knowledge and fervor to be ennobled by the mantle as I was, and as my late father was before me. And who knows, maybe one day you'll be the one to write the name Brante in the blue book and ensure that your children's children will be noble by birth. The mother speaks to you carefully. There is worry in her eyes. But Robert, there may be another path for our son. Stefan, your firstborn, was born a noble. He will surely earn the title for the entire Brante family. Your second son bears the favor of the twins. For him, the path of the priest is a worthy calling, no less than a nobleman's sword. You've been arguing about your future for a while now. Still, she would never defy the will of a nobleman and her husband. You smile at them both, trying to placate them. Gloria laughs quietly behind their backs. Just don't become a snoot like Stefan, and you'll do just fine.
Mother chides Gloria for that. You ain't got your sister. Nathan's been downcast all evening. He barely touched his dinner. When everyone gets up from the table, he suddenly rushes over to embrace you.
Please don't go, Leon. Can't you stay? I don't know what I'm going to do without you.
He tussles his hair in response. There's no way you can stay now, you say. But when you come home, you'll come home, and you will come home. You'll tell him all your stories, and bring him a special present from the tournament. This is it. All your lessons have been learned, all your things have been packed for the road. You leave the family home tomorrow. Tonight... Tonight is your last night at home. Before your departure. You walk through the rooms one last time. The sitting room where Mother used to read you fairy tales. The library where Gloria used to spend all her time. Mother's study, which you entered only on special occasions. The backyard where you taught Nathan to build towers one summer. The whole place feels so familiar. So dear... so dear to you. It feels like home. You lived here for 16 years. Will you ever return? Just a second. Any cough drop. It is getting late. Everyone is already in their rooms. But you hesitate. Father, Mother, Gloria, Nathan, it will be a long time before you see them again. Who will you spend your last few hours at home with? I would have gone with Gloria, but I'll go with Mother. You open the door to Mother's room. She's kneeling in prayer. Her back is to the door and whispers fill the room. She turns around and smiles gently when she hears your footsteps. You want to spend tonight with her before you leave. Mother reaches out to you.
Come with me, Leon. There's no need for anybody else to hear us.
You walk silently downstairs, enter the empty sitting room, and light the candles.
You were so close to the gods, my son. I knew it as soon as you were born. I saw them watching over you closely. Let us pray together, my son. May the twins know you honored their every touch.
You stand by Mother's side as she whispers prayer after prayer. First she offers gratitude for the life and lot you have been granted, then a plea to show you your path through the world where it has no mercy. Next a promise to heed and obey their every call. There is such fervor in your prayer, such piety. You know for certain as you pray with her that the gods will provide for you. They will ensure that your path is true, for there's no other way. The sun is about to rise. You should rest before the long trip. But you're not tired at all. On the contrary, you feel loose and clear-headed. Mother embraces you once the prayers are done.
My son, life is hard, but it is just, more so, for those who follow their law.
Remember, be humble in your words and work hard. But before you go, Mother removes a pendant with the twins cross and puts it around your neck. You return to your room and get into bed. You can see the shining pillar from the window, glowing gently against the twilight morning sky. All your worries about the long journey are no more. You feel calm and serene. Oh. That sneeze apparently messed me up. Last night was your final night at home. The carriage is now waiting at the gate, ready to take you to the capital. The clip-clopping of the idle hooves against the cobblestones count the seconds before your departure. You take one more look at your parents' house and recall your childhood spent there, in the nearby yards, at your school, and on the winding streets of Anazote. You clashed with the greater world around you and survived. You felt the tingle of emotion for the first time. You were taught by the school and the streets. You explored the city of your birth and learned something of its past. You witnessed first-hand events that will be remembered by history for all time. All this is yours now, forever. You saw death, lesser death followed by rebirth, and the true death that takes and never gives back. You saw death lying in wait to strike the unaware, like a beast stalking its prey. You saw grandfather's angry grimace lit by the flickering fire of the lamp, the Archduke's cavalry trampling those who stood in their way, and your older brother's bloody swords slicing through the air. Death has followed you from a very young age. And yet you live on. You have a friend who has been by your side all these years. Thomas taught you many things. How to take a hit, how to keep your word, and how to remain true to your own self. Now Thomas is walking to the same carriage as you are with a heavy bag slung over his shoulder. Your friend will remain your companion for the time being. Ahead of you is a long trip towards the capital and adulthood. For the first time, you will be away from your family and home. What awaits you in the future? Well, I was not a noble at all. I was slow-witted, but I was apparently blessed by the gods. That's pretty cool. Still only a one death. Take it away, Brante. Oh, take it away, Sir Brante. I need a moment to recover.
Leaving my hometown behind, I set out for the capital of the Empire. There, I would discover my role in society.
Could have kept going a few more minutes. But okay. Chapter 3, Youth. Leaving home. Driver flicks the reins. The carriage slowly sways as it starts moving away from your home. You stick your head out the window and wave goodbye to your family. Nathan is running after the carriage with Thomas's younger brother in tow, tears glistening in their eyes. First, leave your home behind. Ahead lies Eterna, the imperial capital. You've often read about it and heard stories from Father and Stefan. It is a city that surpasses Anizote enormously in terms of size, age, wealth, and beauty. But what is it really like? What kind of life awaits you there? What will you learn there, and where will your actions take you? You pass the old walls of Anizote. Somewhere within them is the old fortress you and Thomas built together out of old wood planks, now left to the care of your younger brothers. You two are adults now. Perhaps your fortress will crumble now abandoned, or perhaps your brothers will continue what you started. Who knows? You look down at your hands, knuckles covered in scars from street antics, fingers stained with ink. Mother gave you a cross to wear away from home, and now you can feel its warmth against your chest. Your family counts on you, even though they all wish a different future for you. But they are behind you now in Zote. From this point on, only you will decide which road you will take. This is the journey you prepared for throughout your entire childhood. Ahead of you, many years in the capital, years that will determine your fate and place in society. New personal qualities. Well, my diplomacy is very poor. My manipulation is a little better. I got tons of theology. No real valor. Scheming's pretty poor. Got some eloquence. Left your hometown, studying here. So I end up following the path of the Lotless to stay common. Go for the path of the priest, which is what I've been aiming for. Path of nobleman, I don't stand a chance. Or I can have true death. That's fun. This is rescue. Collapse of the Lotless. The Lotless at large. Bond of friendship. Shield of the new faith. And then my stats. Just a mix of good and bad. I think we're gonna leave it here though, because my voice is trying to fail ever since I sneezed for some reason. Yep. Quit. Thank you. Let's get it back to the title screen before I click off of it. Alright. So, like I said, ending a little early. For different reasons than I expected to end them early, but I was having fun, so I was actually considering going one or two more things in, but that's all I can do to fight down the coughing fits. So, tomorrow we'll be back with something. That reminds me I have to install something later, since we finished the captain yesterday. And then we'll be back on Sunday with Yes, Your Grace, which might be the finale of that. I'm not sure. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and thank you to those who watch the VODs, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.